All right, welcome back. And I have my guest already seated in the studio. The government, one of the government communications team members, Amma Frimpong, is here with me. Good morning, Amma.
Good morning, Kweku. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
It's good to have you here.
Good to have you. Good to see you too. Well, it's always good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. As it is for me. As it is for me.
If I come here often, I'll be seeing you. So I'll try and come here often.
Amma, it's okay.
Oh. I'm just saying something.
Well, we can have a further conversation about that later. Okay. Well, let's dive into the first story for today: the fight against corruption. I mean, we've been agitating a lot. You know, people have been agitating a lot for the special prosecutor to get on with it. You know, and get to work already. And it seems that he's doing just that. You know, we have a story in the graphic newspaper. I just want to read briefly some bits of the story here, and then we can get into the story. Okay. So the special prosecutor summons 2 over alleged corruption. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has invited the Registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat and the Administrator of the Ghana Education Trust Fund Secretariat to help with investigations to ascertain whether or not either of them or both of them used their positions for private benefit. The 2 officials, Mr. Kingsley Ajaman, the Registrar, and Mr. Richard Bwedu, the Administrator, are to report at exactly 10 a.m. on the 3rd of September and August 28th, which is today, respectively. When contacted, Mr. Bwedu denied any wrongdoing, and he said he was prepared to meet the special prosecutor. However, Mr. Ajaman could not be reached as he was on official assignment outside the jurisdiction. All right. So, what do you make of this? It sounds exciting. He seems to be, you know, getting on with his work.
Good morning again, and good morning to Duke.
Morning.
I hope you are fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd also like to say a very good morning, Ghana. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who's also out of the jurisdiction on an official...
He's in Japan, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
There's I don't know if it's Tikad or Tisad or...
Enjoying sushi.
Is that what he said?
No. I mean, but what do you do in Japan? That's what they eat in Japan.
Oh, you do this too, don't you?
I mean, ubediti. Sushi is the food. We don't have banku and tilapia in Japan. All right, let's go into the story.
All right. Special prosecutor.
Yes.
It was one of the main promises Mr. President made to Ghanaians prior to the 2016 elections. So he would set up, or the government will set up, an independent special prosecutor's office.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened. We all know the processes, and Mr. Amidu became the special prosecutor. Since he's been in office, we've heard his stories. He's giving us reasons why he couldn't work. He's giving us reasons why he couldn't do this. There's this accommodation, blah, blah, blah. And he started working. We didn't hear from him for a while.
Yeah.
It was assumed, or it's, you know, under the impression that he's working. And then next thing, he came out with a big bang, and there was this Mr. Ayariga, or Honorable Ayariga, back and forth and all that. Last week, the president copied him or wrote to him a letter when the PPA issue came up. And we saw his response, or he had written to the gentleman in question, or the company in question, to come also to tell their side of the story.
Yeah.
And then this morning, there's another one here that he summoned 2 officials over alleged corruption acts.
Yes.
We would like to see, or not just see, but hear more of what's happened to other cases that are before him. What's the status of them? How's it going? Is he facing any difficulties, or is everything going as scheduled? Because we hear that he calls people, he talks to them, or he questions them, and then we don't know what the outcome is. I know investigations do take some time, but what I would like to ask, or what I'd like to say, is if he's called these gentlemen over some alleged malpractices, all well and good, would like to hear from him of the previous ones that have come to him. What's the status of them? Has he cleared them? Has the case been stalled due to A or B? Instead of hearing all these cases going before him, and then we don't know what's happening with them. On this particular one, I don't know, or I haven't heard the full details of why he's called them. So I can only go by what's in the paper, and hope that once the two gentlemen go to see him or write their responses or whatever the summons are, we'll get to know what the full details of the case are. Because most of the time we see headline news, corruption here, or there's been a case here, people's names are thrown in, and then people tag them, or this person is corrupt, or this person has done this, without knowing the full information, and then is left to lie. Follow. There have been numerous cases like that. I know people would say the wheels of justice grind slowly or whatever. But once that happens too, or once people's names are mentioned, the perception out there, it gets to other people, and they are like, oh, this is what I've heard about gentleman A or B. So if all the cases that are before him, he can finish them or do his investigations, come to the conclusions, if there are going to be prosecutions, or what's the next step, he should, start telling us or giving us details. Then we know what to do, or we can all move forward. Because I don't want to wake up and hear my name being bandied about of an allegation. And these days, the mere fact that your name has been mentioned is the judge and jury are already out there, telling everyone about it without knowing the full details. So you call someone, or there's a case before you, you come and tell us, I've called person A, but go the extra mile and let us know what your investigations have yielded, what's the next step, and then we can all move forward.
So let me introduce to you my other guest, Duke Mensah Opoku, who is a host. He's a parliamentary correspondent here at Citi TV, and then also a host of the Chamber and press conference. Good morning, Duke.
Good morning, Gogo.
How are you doing?
I'm well, by grace.
It's good to have you here with us.
Good to be here too.
What's your take on the apparent fervor that seems to have come over the OSP? Because recently, in the past, of course, we were agitated and saying we want to see him working, but now everybody's being written to these days. I mean, we don't know who's going to be next. What do you make of it?
Well, for this issue, two things strike me about it. First, it's got to do with the fact that it's another set of government officials who are being allegedly investigated for corruption, and it has got to do with the educational sector. That's the GET fund. So the connection is going through the story. The conclusion I came to is the fact that it has got to do with the use of GET fund resources for the sponsorship of students, or for the sponsorship of citizens on scholarship. And that's how come the GET fund administrator and the
scholarship secretariat,
the registrar of the scholarship secretariat are involved. It is a good step for the special prosecutor, because the hue and cry over the past few months has been the fact that it's always been about, for want of a better word, he's been lamenting about what he's supposed to be doing. And in actual fact, people have not seen what he's actually doing as the special prosecutor, who has actually been put there to deal with corruption for politically exposed persons. So it's good that he's taking these steps, and he is actually seen to be doing the work. Another refreshing thing is the fact that he's given them timelines to meet. As we speak, the registrar of the scholarship secretariat is out of the jurisdiction. It indicates that he's in India as part of his work that he's doing. But for Mr. Richard Boedu, who is who works with the Get Fund,
yes,
he has actually indicated that he sees nothing wrong with the allegations that are being put out against him, and he has up to the story says September 10th and September 3rd, September 3rd, and to August 28th. I mean, the special prosecutor is so for want of a better word, so exact that he's even added the time that by 10 a.m. they are supposed to be there to report to these to these allegations that are being put across against these government officials. We would look at what would come out of it, because establishing grounds or making a case as to what the problem is or what the challenge is or what the allegations are is not really in essence what the case is supposed to be about. It's just supposed to be a basis, and depending on how the special prosecutor will go to court with the charges and how it's going to go about, then we would know if really there is merit to the case that is being put against these gentlemen in court. It's a matter that he intends to prosecute. It's sub judice, as the lawyers would say. So I would stay away from going into the merits of the issues. Yes. Into
it. So right now, does it appear that he has enough funding so that the processes of investigating and prosecuting, as the case may be, will not stall? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, we all know Mr. Amidu in this country. If his previous writings are anything to go by, if at this juncture he doesn't have funding, I'm sure we would have heard about it. He would have told everyone by now that there's no funding to go on. Going by the last few weeks and his being seen as getting on with the job or doing what he's doing, I would say, or I can say that he has some funding to go on with it. If for any reason, I'm sure there are channels, he knows the channels also to use to get his funding. He doesn't probably have to come and tell the whole Ghana or the whole world. Sometimes he does. But if he hits any snag and he has to get more funding, I'm sure he knows where to go or the available routes to use to get the money.
Yes.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor is one that almost every Ghanaian has an interest in, because before it even came out, there was this tag that it's been set up specifically to
witch hunt.
Yes, witch hunt or investigate public or government officials. So a lot of people have interest there. So if anyone goes there or if there's any case that goes there, people tend to follow and see what's happening with it. My only, as I've said earlier, my only little problem is that we hear of them, we get to hear them go back and forth, and then nothing else. So as at now, one other thing I would also plead or crave his indulgence. The few cases or the cases that he started from whenever he got in, if he could also write an epistle and let us know that I've taken it to, if it's gone to the court or if I've had to cancel or I didn't get anything, there was nothing in it, then people would know, because there are few cases hanging in there that interest are in, especially when it comes to political as well.
Well, like Jude said, I mean, they are sub judice? Yeah, so it makes it a bit difficult to force his hand in a certain sense to make things come out.
So we can only plead.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, so let's talk about this weekend and NDC primaries that took place. Now, there's a bit of a interesting fallout after the NDC. We have an MPP regional
Chairman,
bigwig, the chairman, Wuntumi, who says we actually, manipulated things. Now, it's been rebuffed by the head of communication for the party, who is also the MP for Adenta, Yabobenya Samoa. Now, my curiosity is, if Wuntumi didn't do it, why would he say he did it?
I am not in a position to speak for Chairman Woon to me.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk about it anyway. I'm not speaking for him here.
Okay.
He says he's done something.
Yeah.
He's on air talking
Hello,
about it,
friend.
and you know,
it was live.
Giving
Initially, it even sounded almost like a leaked tape kind of accusation. You know, this kind of thing that you said people were talking in harsh tones and those kind of things. But this one, he was actually live on radio. You know, on a popular radio station in Kumasi, and he was just freely expressing himself. So it doesn't sound like something that's cooked up. Anyway, you go on.
I've seen the rebuttal from the Director of Communications. Good morning, Honorable YB, who's my boss. And he's also come out to say that, no, we didn't do that. So the one to me is we that he's saying he did. Is he saying we as in him and the party, or him and his group, or is it something Ashanti region, or I really don't know who his we, the royal we here. But this is another party's internal contest.
Yeah.
They've put their program together and they are going to do it. Why would another party or the ruling party going to influence people there?
Because 2020 is coming.
Well, if 2020 is coming, we are working hard. The MPP government is working hard. We are putting in our programs and policies. We do not need to go and pay money or influence delegates from another party to decide who to vote for.
Well, it's called gerrymandering. You're messing around with it's a form of gerrymandering. We are messing around with who it is that is in the opposition, who can potentially cause trouble for you come 2020. So that's what he's claiming.
Well, okay,
that
let's say it's
he refers to strategies.
Let's say it's psychological gerrymandering. He's put this out there. He's gone on to radio to speak about it. He's thrown them into a state of panic or confusion now, where they are doubting each other. It's also a strategy. It could
really?
be, yes, it could. He's come out, he didn't hide it. He said it on air. Now people are going to be looking at each other and thinking, oh wow, are you the one who he gave the money to, or which strategy? Are you the person who was paid? He mentioned that in Kumbungu, for example. Now, the defeated MP had already come out to say that there were people were sharing money, or he's taking it to BNI or something like that. What if from this kind of information that was out there, Chairman Woon to me also decides, well, if that's what they are coming out to say, let me also add more fuel to it and then create more confusion between them so that they start doubting each other. It's also gerrymandering, but it could be psychological gerrymandering. He's come out to say this, and now we have to talk about it. The NDC party are now going to sit back and think, okay, did this really happen? Where did it happen? They are going to be looking at each other, and it's always a strategy. It is a strategy. It doesn't mean that it actually happened. A lot of things are said that don't actually happen. I could say something to you and throw some seeds of doubt here and there. My director has come out to debunk it and say, no, something like that didn't happen. I am going to stick with what the Director of Communications, Honorable YB, who is my boss, has said, and then go on that tangent that no one did anything like that.
But what Yabobin said was that as far as the new Patriotic Party at the national level is concerned, so he's not necessarily saying it didn't happen on a local level. He says that as far as the national level of the party is concerned, there is no such thing as a strategy to go messing about in meddling with others. National
brings out communication that we all follow.
Okay.
So if my boss tells me that, okay, Amma, this is what this is the meeting, or this is the outcome of a meeting, this is what we are doing, I'm going to we have a leader. I'm going to go by what he's saying. I may step out of line 1 or 2 here, there, but generally I'll try to follow in the line. So if national is saying that this is not what happened at national or anything, it trickles down to all of us. Okay. Like I said, Chairman Woon to me has said it, but we've heard Chairman Woon to me say things on air a few times, and I'm sure people would sometimes hear it and say, oh wow, no, let's just take this as one of those political talks. So for me, I'm saying that it's also a strategy, and it could be that playing with their minds to get them to where he wants them to be.
He says if there's any evidence of anything, ideally the first point of call for the media will be for Mr. Wontumi. If he has any evidence of the National Party doing anything of the sort. There is nothing for the party to investigate.
Nothing, yes.
Because we haven't set out on any adventure. But he doesn't categorically say that.
Also, you because he hasn't
Mr.
Wontumi did not do it.
Yes.
Well, this is emphatic enough. National has not done anything like that. National does not have any plans of doing anything like that. For me, that's good enough. That's it.
Duke, what do you make of all this?
This is politics, and as we get into next year, a lot more of these things will be happening. A lot more of these things will be happening. Some call it the dark arts. Really, I mean, getting into next year.
Is it real?
Well,
because she seems to think that, look, it's all hocus pocus and it's much ado about nothing.
Well, if you, this is the personality we are talking about. Ashanti Regional Chairman of the MPP is noted
colorful.
for being is noted for being an outlier when it comes to some of these things within the party structure, within the MPP party structure. Okay. So he, I remember in the run up to the 2016 elections, he had set out a certain target to achieve and nationally proclaimed that he was the governor of the region and that there are certain seats that he would actually ensure that the NDC loses. So there are things that, when it comes to the region, there are things that he wants to do to get to the national prominence in terms of what he is doing as the regional chairman of the party. Yeah. So for me, this is a clear case of probably a lack of coordination, but probably between himself and what is being done at the national level. It could be deliberate, it could be strategic, it could be for all manner of reasons. But at the end of the day, we are looking at a gentleman, that's the Honorable MP for Kumbungu, who says he was seen as a threat in many respects by the government in Parliament. It could also be that he was seen as a threat by people within his own party, and that's how come some people sponsored to get him out of Parliament.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to delve a little further into this subject. I want to discuss the issue of political corruption in terms of the vote buying and those kinds of things. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The hashtag to send us messages on is Breakfast Daily, and then also send us WhatsApp messages on 0550585832. So we've been talking the fight against corruption. We've also been talking the aftermath of the NDC primaries. We've dealt with the issue that Ras Mubarak made allegations that people were manipulating things behind the scenes, and that's how come he lost. Chairman Wontumi, who was the regional chairman of the MPP, jumped on the back of that and also said, yes, it's true. We have, different strategies, paying people either directly or indirectly to sway delegates in one direction or another. Now, Yababringa Samoa, who is the communications director for the MPP, has said it's not true. There's nothing like that as a national strategy for the MPP. Now, I'm going to come back to you, Duke. The issue of vote buying and manipulation of delegates' wishes, as it were. On the point of view, when Bernard was talking to John Dumelo and Giselle Tete Agbotui and Sam George, John also made allegations that it is something that is real, that he also knows that there were machinations and all kinds of underhand dealings, but for him, he focused on his strategy, you know. I think in all the other places, people feel as though there is some, I like the word you use, the dark arts. There's some, you know, unseen, the term they used on Point of View was unseen hands. What are those unseen hands? And how real is this? Is it a myth? Is it something that we should just discount as a case of sour grapes, people just, you know, cry out that in case they lose, you know, then they will say, yeah, I told you there was this going on. Or when they don't win, they say, blame it on that.
It's a numbers game.
Okay.
It's a numbers game. So you would have various competing interests, the various competing candidates. Try as much as possible to get the number of people that they need on their side. And from where we are, where we are headed to, the politics of virtue is fast becoming a thing of the past in the country, which I think is very worrying, because I mean, people do not the quality of your ideas and the quality of your policy alone do not win elections in this country anymore. That's the reality of that's the reality of the issue on the ground. And we've had civil society groups such as CDD put out that averagely you need about $86,000 to win an election. Francis Xavier also mentioned 300,000 Ghana cedis to win a primary.
Yeah.
And I mean, for an average Joe with with good ideas and intentions, who understands the needs of the people he wants to represent, 300,000 is no chicken. It's not small money.
No, it's not.
So at the end of the day, the issue of money would come in, and gradually we are getting to the point where it's the highest bidder who gets who gets in there, and not necessarily the one with the best of ideas. So for everyone who wants to contest, it has to be a fine blend of the two. You have the good ideas, but you must also have the capital to support. And at the end of the day, I think that is what has come to head here. So if the Ashanti Regional Chairman is talking about influencing what happened in, say, Kumbungu, how would he influence that other than to send resources that would sway the votes in favor of the person he does not want to win? And it's the same thing that is going on across the board. So we need to rethink. We really need to rethink how politics is done in the country. Otherwise, people with good intentions, with good policy ideas, with things that they want to really do to help the country, may never get the opportunity to, because the system is broken. It may be harsh, but that is my view. I think the system is broken and needs to be fixed in a way. Because I mean, and I will share this experience as someone who reports from Parliament. There are and Rasmurak is a first time. There are a lot of first timers who come in with a lot of fresh ideas, with a lot of vim, for want of a better word, ready to do what is the best in terms of representation of their people. But while they are doing that, there are others also in their constituency who are seriously canvassing, who are seriously doing what it takes to take them off. And you may not have the opportunity to always go back. So what people then start to stock their war chest, for the next election. And the conclusion is that at the end of the day, it's about who can pay the best or who can pay the highest. And that is what is really the issue or the challenge with the kind of politics that we are practicing in this country.